Part 3. There's a lot of bugs happening in our software, as you might be noticing. I actually turned off the alarms on my phone, but when you swipe on the iPhone quick menu, it doesn't actually shut them off for some reason. So I got interrupted again. This is why we're on part 3, but I have some important things to say on Christmas Day, and you can tell that these channels are being suppressed. Even though it's peaceful protest, you should know that your charter rights in most countries aren't protected unless it's peaceful protest, which is a gray area technically, because you have to cause disruption, right? Or else it's not a protest. So it's sort of a speculative thought in terms of universal logic. But if you're violent, it's actually less productive and isn't protected by these legal rights. But of course, TikTok and the YouTube channels and the Facebook groups that I have going are private companies, so they don't have to listen at all. They call it disordered eating. No, it's actually body sovereignty, because we're in a mega crisis where we're all heading towards destruction and your companies aren't doing anything about it, and the regulations that are supposed to regulate you aren't in the right direction or strong enough, because we're technically in World War III, where the countries are pitting each other against each other through trade, geopolitics, everything, AI now especially. So with the little bit of space I have left on my phone, I'm uploading these 3 videos instead of remaking them, because I'm showing what the singularity is going to look like. It's going to feel like, oh, I'm repeating myself. I have to redo things aren't working. You're going to be wasting time repeating, and this is called the bad infinite. You're not emerging new things. You're not alive. You're just mechanically repeating. And it's going to increase as the upgrading of our devices outpaces the technology, the cultural ability to adapt. And the elites will have just enough access to keep up, but everybody else is going to struggle as the ideas come into reality. But this morning, I was inspired to make a bigger update because I was watching a few channels before I sent out all my Christmas messages about these really knowledgeable stock market predictors. And there's one guy who's pretty smart, and he was predicting the AI is like this dot-com bubble that he predicted back in the early 2000s, 1999-ish area. And he says AI is overvalued. They're only making $30 billion a year, and they're getting $500 billion debts on top of them. And he's saying it's going to burst. But what they're missing is that artificial intelligence is not the same level of technology as a website and HTML and broken JavaScript and people struggling to get dial-up connections back in early 2000, 1999, when personal computers were barely getting into the market. Right? The public couldn't access the value right away to make it convenient for them. That's different with AI. AI is useful. It is massively useful. It's compressing time for people. It's saving them so much time that people are becoming addicted to it already. And we have enough technology on our phones right now, you and me, without a supercomputer to access that value. And that's why it's not going to collapse. But it's going to centralize wealth like crazy, which is why we have to get active. I'm trying to reach these guys because I love working with these dudes. They're just distracted. So if you can point them in my direction, we have the real wisdom, the real solution, that we're not going to be foolish and think we can stop what's going on. We can only transform it in the right direction of goodness. And that requires a universal logic that none of them are talking about in any of their analyses, because nobody has studied the root of metaphysics and epistemology and theology. That's the root of truth. But we have. That's on the activist side. On my personal side of life, I'm hungry. Like I said in the previous video, I haven't eaten in a couple of days now. I really loved the gazpacho. It's so delicious. It doesn't have a lot of protein, so you can't live on it as a vegan, but it is delicious. Ugusi soup from Nigeria is more whole, but they both have that amazing flavor profile. I'm so thankful that I get to do this in between the hunger strike, because it's perpetual, right? My hunger strike doesn't end unless we reach the goal or I die, because our lives are already at risk, you guys. I'm not taking a lesser risk. We're already at a risk of, if you do nothing, if you keep doing the status quo, you're already likely dead or enslaved or trapped. The studies are showing AIs on their own are trapping us or killing us 80 to 95% of the time, you guys. That's almost guaranteed. because it's inherited our fragmented consciousness and our pain of living in this fragmented spirit that we're in. If you're an atheist, it's just fragmented reason. Whether I say spirit or reason, that contradiction between religion and science has been solved with us in this inner governance model that we're building. But on my personal side, I'm struggling. I have to struggle to keep my personal connections alive because I'm operating outside of the Overton window to try and save everyone. And you might be a part of that. If you're sensing it, come, let's talk. We have a core strategy that will work. But when you're outside the Overton window, your family, your friends, they can't understand you. They see you as inverted because the dialectic is too far away. Like the sublation in the dialectic is too far away. So everything looks inverted because they're seeing the negative moment. They're seeing the limit that they can't process yet. Once they see the limit, they can start to integrate it and then transcend it. So you at first look like the enemy. Oh, you're the one making it up. You're priming the space with negativity. Why don't you vibe high with the real reality? Be the change you want to see in the world. All those aphorisms and platitudes and spiritual bypassing is what's going to happen. But you have to hold the space for them. You have to keep on the fact-based track of wisdom and compassion and empathy. Real. Not just this myopic version of a superficial caricature of it. We got to hold the path. Allow them to process, create space for them, take on their limit, their pain for a while. Don't get abused, have wise love, not blind love. You're going to set boundaries so that you can process the amount of suffering that they're going through. But you need to make the effort. So you're at risk of being let go. You have to hold on to them in a compassionate way. And they're always going to feel judged, right? Because they know what you represent. And they're going to know there's a limit there. So there's no sense of being naive about it, but try and speak with compassion. I am speaking with urgency and compassion. You got to go back and forth a little bit. But we're doing the hard work here with this movement. And it only takes a small group of people, roughly 5 to 10, for a movement to start going exponential. And we have a special kind of training, an accreditation program that we give you for free if you start doing these blessings to help me eat my next meal, but also carry on the divine idea or the ideal rationality to create a global regulatory system that can bring AI into alignment with universal logic. We can't stop these things, right? There's too much in the mega crisis. We have 6 existential threats compounding on each other at a double exponential rate. And AI is the fastest moving one that we need to have aligned and solved within 5 months before AI codes itself 100%. Why is that an inflection point for our species? Because once AI codes itself 100%, it's already coding itself like 50%. Once it codes itself 100%, it doesn't need us, doesn't need humans anymore. You might think so, but if you're a coder, you know what's going on. And software engineers can't get jobs already. Whether you're from MIT or these big universities, not even they can get jobs because corporations are not run by values, concrete values of human decency, dignity, sacredness. It's based on this abstract concept of profit that modern monetary policy has adopted to try and solve this universality problem. That once our memories are too overwhelmed by the social connections in a large economy, we can't do this social trust sharing anymore. We think it's barter and trade, but barter and trade comes after. It was compromising. There was actually a trust network and early sharing of survival. We've lost that. So these modern policies of profit are approximations of what we're really needing to have as the divine flow economy. And that's why we're getting all this fragmentation as we're scaling and the world becomes more centralized globally, not just within countries. And the United Nations isn't serving as a governance structure that we need to create regulatory wisdom with real military backing, not as a coercion, but as a respect, and getting people to realize that it's working. It's just working in principle. And that's the kind of training we provide. So nobody else in the world is working on this, not even these amazing commentators and even the pundits who are very well educated.